This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded March 24th, 2014, episode 190, Vanishing, Vessel, Vexation.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Who has finally realised that I was right when I was saying that days blur into...
He wasn't just a lazy ass, folks.
Nothing.
He was...
Yep. He didn't believe me when I told him when you work for yourself and do, what we're doing, days, no longer matter. And he went, bullshit, And
Yeah, it's just...
Please say I was right.
You were right. Yes, you were right. I do agree. And I was telling Dave before the show, I was thinking about what he had said when this week I was just like, I can't get a... It's not. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because I'm not. It's just I haven't gotten my bearings yet, and I'm just kind of trying to find my system. And I think when I talk to other people too, they kind of said the same thing when they made the change. It was just kind of finding a new rhythm because now it's not have to get to the office by 9 a.m. or whatever time you get in.
Exactly, you can do anything you want.
Right, and that's
which
good.
you have to be careful because your mind goes into there's always tomorrow mode.
Yeah. Right, and or even just I'll do it later today, even, right? And I'm still up till
exactly.
2 in the morning.
And then it never gets done. You always make an excuse, and you no, I've got to do this now, and I'll do that tomorrow, and then it just
Yeah, well, and
never
the other
happens.
problem that I've been interacting with is that now that I'm trying to actually improve my workflow and figure out better ways to get stuff done, and like that's kind of its own deep dark hole because how many different task keepers are there out there and different systems of ways of doing things, and it's just like
doing things. I actually, in the end, I don't think it matters as long as you have a system.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the system is.
Right, consistency.
Well, to a certain extent, Yeah, some ways are more efficient than others, but
right.
Hey,
I've been switching. So I've been trying out Evernote because everybody kind of raved about it, and you kind of figure, well,
what's Evernote?
It's kind of like it's like a sync. It syncs up your different notes and ideas and stuff like that. And I really didn't have visibility into it until, it's been around since like 2006, 2007 or something like that.
Right.
I didn't have visibility until I saw it was a Google Glass app, right? It was like one of the first ones out there. I'm like,
okay.
So I paid attention to it. And basically it's like you can record audio, you can take a picture, and basically you kind of just throw all of your jumbled ideas there, and then you can kind of sort the ideas into different folders. And so I've been trying that, but it's just like any new system you try, even when you jump email programs or into new like Twitter or something like that, it's just trying to get a handle on it, and again, consistency, like you said,
and consistency in using it. Yeah, that's the thing. I need something like that because I'm always going, I've got some ideas for something, so I'll write them down on a post-it note, and and then I'll stick it in my pocket, and then it goes through the wash and just gets lost. And,
right.
It's just
Apparently they have something where like you can actually take a picture of a post-it note specifically. I think this is right.
Oh, nice.
And then it'll capture that, and then it does OCR and everything too. So it's been around for a while.
Right. Okay. I'll try that.
And it's got like some web snipping tool as well. Like, so you're like looking at a web page, and you can look at it and basically like just take a snapshot of it, just like a single click, and you kind of grab a piece of a web page. That's actually kind of like datasheet.net. I think we talked about that a while back on here. It's the same kind of thing. They do that for datasheets, but Evernote does that for just whatever web page you're on. Instead of saving a link, it's like, here's a picture of this really quick. And I don't know. I haven't really gotten into either yet, but it seems like a good idea.
I need stuff like that because just the other day I had like 20 tabs open on my browser with 20 different data sheets. Right, I was trying to find a chip for a certain thing, and it's like, well. And then the machinery, and I just lost all those links. Like, I just looked through those, and I can't remember the reasons why I thought that chip was good enough, or I discounted it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
just couldn't remember.
So my friend told me about datasheet.net, and actually I think someone wrote to us about it as well. And he was telling me he works with people overseas, and he'll have a couple data sheets open. He'll kind of like snip different pieces out of it, basically. Like he'll snip a schematic and then
a graph or something.
Yeah, exactly. And he'll just piece together like his own story based with that, and then kind of like, here's what I need you to do basically, and here's a little bit of markup on it, and then he'll send that to someone, and they'll get cranking on it, and then they can kind of work from there. So
excellent,
pretty cool.
I definitely need to. Invest in.
There's the problem, right?
A system like that.
That's always the problem. It's like
time and
It's an interruption. Exactly. It's like, well, why not just keep doing what I'm doing? Like,
exactly. Write on a post-it note. It'll work next time.
It'll definitely work next time.
I lost the post-it note last time, but no, I'll take good care of it this time.
Well, hey, it's your whole CAD system, right?
It is.
Yeah.
and it just fails every time.
Yeah.
Yet I keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just dumb. Even just writing stuff on a whiteboard. I've got to walk to the other side of the room to write it on a whiteboard. I've got to find a pen. Yeah. Oh, well. It's all too hard. Even writing on a post-it note's too hard. Oh, I've got to find a pen. Where is it? I can't find it.
If only we had some kind of like brain implant or something that we could do this. It would be so much easier.
I know.
Just a brain snapshot.
There's got to be a Kickstarter there. There's got to be.
Well, there is there's a really, I always get grossed out from these articles, but IEEE was talking about it this week and talking about kind of what you need to do to put electronics into people. And I think I said it last time, but I'll say it again. Don't put electronics in your bodies, folks. It's
unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like a pacemaker or something. But even those,
or something like that.
I don't know.
Well, if it saves your life, I'll have one. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and they're talking about that kind of stuff too. Putting in, especially like brain stimulation, stuff like that. If you people with seizures and stuff like that. But
it's still
seizures
so
and
invasive. Things like that. Yeah. Oh, but still, if it stops the seizures and you can lead a normal life, it's worth it.
Yes, right. No, I don't doubt that it's a good thing. I just get so friggin' squeamish. I think what I always think about is those body modifiers or body modification people, basically that do it themselves, and it's just like
right, like John Oxer.
yeah, exactly, right. Or that
He's
person
famous for having the RFID chip. In his
didn't someone
arm.
put like an entire Arduino under their arm or something ridiculous like that? I don't know. Not meant to be.
Yep.
Not meant to be.
Yeah, no, it's just dumb.
Well, and we're going to see this more, though, right? I mean, quantified self is such a, by the way, stupid term. But like tracking body stuff is really, people are really interested in that kind of thing. But. And I guess you have to. Like, I think about like I have a family member who's type 2 diabetic, and she has to track glucose and stuff like that, and that's still invasive, even though it's external to the body. But I should assume it's they have insulin pumps and all that kind of electronics now too that can kind of regulate that stuff. But it's still just it's so rough, I don't know. There was a Kickstarter. It wasn't a Kickstarter. It was a I don't think it was on the list, but it was a what's the other one? Indiegogo campaign that raised like $500,000 or something like that. And basically,
Indiegogo, it just makes my skin crawl every time I hear the word Indiegogo. It's just scam after scam, it seems.
Right. It does seem like they would do more to kind of prevent that. I mean, get one person with common sense that actually looks at this stuff, or even just get rid of the flexible funding. Like that alone would probably
exactly. That alone would.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
But it was a device that it was supposed to sit on your skin and then like monitor your glucose level by some kind of interaction with your skin, and
right.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. But.
Well, there's only a couple of things you can do. You can measure skin resistance, or you can measure skin resistance, temperature, and if you shine some LEDs through, you can
get the blood.
Get the like on your finger, you can get your blood pulse and all that sort of jazz.
The oximeter levels. But this is saying that there's some brand new measurement, and always that BS alarm kind of goes off in my head. It's like, this brilliant new measurement. Why are you crowdfunding for it, and why is that the first time we've heard about it?
It's only on Indiegogo. Like no other big pharmaceutical company, as a big medical device company's ever thought of it. No,
Yeah. Yeah. So, Scamsville,
warning,
like usual.
Warning.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should have we've been talking about this from day one since we were doing this show, like a buzzer box, with different sound effects,
like a
that we can
soundboard?
press, Yeah, a soundboard. That's the word. Like bullshit. Or, warning, Will Robinson. Warning. Insert all these things live into the show.
Oh, Dave, we got you, man. It's fine.
It'd be, it'd be completely tacky. It'd be awesome. It'd suit our show down to a T.
Yeah.
Have you been following this MH370?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I keep seeing Greg Charvat.
I'm obsessed with it, dude.
Yeah. So Greg, our former guest and sometimes co-host,
Yes.
he's been on CNN a bunch and CBS. So all the news channels around here, he keeps talking about radar, and so I keep seeing that on Facebook when that pops up. But
at the end of the day, it wasn't radar that found. Well, I think I think they have found it now. I think
really?
it's almost definitive that they've found it. They've, 4 or 5 separate different sightings of wreckage, and it's just a matter of getting a ship there and picking it up. I think.
yeah, it's like forgetting your kid at daycare, right?
No, I just read this morning, woke up this morning, and they had actually, how they had sort of pinpointed from the satellite that it was on this arc that spread like a third of the way across the planet or something.
Right,
they
right.
said it's somewhere on there. We're not sure what. And eventually, apparently, the mathematics boffins at the satellite company went, no, we can narrow it down further. And they realised using the Doppler shift of the frequency, they reanalyzed the data and everything. Apparently, they've never done this before, and they could definitively say it was south, i.e. in the Indian Ocean towards Australia, and they can probably get it down within 100 miles or 100 kilometres.
Right, which is
huge
huge because of how much land they were covering.
Which is huge, but in terms of just picking it up on some old satellite and doing some mathematical analysis on the freaking spectrum that they recorded from it, that's amazing.
I know,
really,
it is, and I have to say I've skipped a lot of the I catch the high end the higher level headlines just because some of it you can't avoid. But I mean, my God, the news media. I mean, it is interesting, but the amount of just speculation here
it's crazy.
I can't do that. But I mean, obviously,
but that's half the fun.
It's not necessarily a fun situation.
Well, it is for me.
Yeah.
No, it's not. But from a just a mystery point of view,
I suppose
engineers
so.
love solving problems and
that's
mysteries.
True. Yes, from the mysteries.
Like
yeah, and also I think there's a lot of intrigue just from the whole. This is just a what the hell's happening kind of thing as well.
Yeah,
but,
and there's something new every day. Like just the other day, there was a cargo of lithium-ion batteries on the plane that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and
there's the culprit, and it's just something new every day. It's unbelievable.
I was amazed that they could, lose planes and instruments, how I don't understand.
It's bizarre these days. Well, see, there were 3 or 4 different methods of locating that plane on that plane, right? And they all failed. They all were shut down or failed in some way. So there was no shortage of redundancy on there. There could have been a couple more, for example.
Did they,
if they subscribed to the GPS pinging service with the satellites, they would have had more accurate data. But, at the end of the day, for some reason, all these multiple separate systems failed.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and that. Well, so have they come back about that? Because they kept saying. I remember at one point they were saying that all these must have been shut off specifically. And
no, it's anyone who's not, anyone who doesn't want to go the conspiracy theory route. All the airline pilots, they all say there was a fire. Something happened on the plane. There was a fire. It took out the systems.
Right.
And and they were so busy panicking, trying to keep the plane flying and everything, and getting down to altitude so they don't run out of oxygen. That
right.
Because if something like that happens and the cabin depressurizes, they've only got 2 minutes of oxygen to get down to a certain level. Otherwise, they're all
enclosed space, right?
And they've only got 2 minutes worth of oxygen, so they have to get down. If they don't, well, they all go unconscious, and the plane keeps flying on its original.
Oh, I see. Yeah, see, I haven't been following that closely. Yeah. Well, when people were talking about that, though, they were talking about the whole taking the systems down, and the question that kept coming up is, but they said that's possible, and
Yeah, it's possible, but there's no reason for it. No one's come up with any motive or anything.
Right?
else.
No,
It's
I know,
just,
but
like,
that's not
why,
my point.
Why go there?
No, but
when
that's not
there's
my
an
point.
easier
Is
explanation?
why is that possible? I don't understand that. That's what, like, in terms of
right,
system
no,
design,
it
right?
shouldn't be.
Yeah, why is that
it
a
shouldn't
switch
be.
that's possible for anyone outside of a technician on the ground, and you should know that by the time it takes off? Like, that's the part that I didn't understand, even if there was full
It
motive.
should only be accessible from a hatch on the outside of the plane or something.
Right.
You know?
I
There should be a GPS, transponder there that just cannot be switched off. Has its own battery, everything, So even if you reset, they think what may have happened is they may have an emergency happened, fire or whatever. They went in and pulled all the circuit breakers, which actually shut off all the systems because that was the only way that they could stop the spread of the fire or the problem or whatever it was. So they reckon that's one of the
that makes
scenarios that could have happened.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, I know, but it's
so that's pretty bonkers. So that whole situation, just how how planes lost and it's off this flight path and everything. But yeah, definitely, I did see the Doppler shift thing today, and that was very cool math.
That's the first time they've ever done it, and someone. I can imagine some engineer at his cubicle sort of poking his head over the top. Hey guys, I think I figured out a way we might be able to track it down. And everyone's going, bullshit, go back to your cubicle.
Nerd.
Like, we'll handle it, nerd.
Yeah.
And, some nerd figured it out that, they could get it
crazy.
much more accurate by analysing and then correlating to ones that they know. Like, if they didn't have reference aircraft that they knew exactly where they were to actually get the reference template to compare it to, that's how they did it. So, fantastic.
Yeah, that is cool. So then they'll be able to pick up pings from sonar and stuff like that eventually if they do find it too, right?
Speaking of which, my equipment that I helped design and build will likely be used.
Really?
In that.
So that's the sonogram, sonophone, something like that? What's it called?
Sonobuoys. The Australian Navy Barra Sonobuoy. I worked on the Barra Sonobuoy project back in the
Sonar
back in
Boy?
the 90s.
Yeah.
Sonar Boy.
Oh, look at that.
Yep.
You should be on the news, man. You and Greg could hang out on the news together.
Right.
Yeah.
And they'll be dropping those from the planes. They've got more sensitive ones these days, but I'm pretty sure that the Sonobuoys that I designed would be able to pick up the pings from the from the black box, but they are very deep.
So then they're like
incredibly deep.
It's like a transponder. Then it basically it
it's a
bounces the
transponder.
signal
The black
higher.
box has a transponder.
Right. But
and they have to.
The buoy itself, it's going to be like it would basically it detect if the signal's there and then power up the signal and send it to a satellite or something. Is that the idea?
Huh? No, it just sends out a ping in the water.
Right, but what happens when it finds the ping? That's what I mean. Like these things
the
that get
Sonobuoy has multiple hydrophones. It can detect the angle and the direction of the sound, so it knows.
But then it talks to some other.
No, it doesn't talk to anything. No. Oh, well, no, it talks.
So
it talks back to the plane,
yep,
right?
I found it.
The Sonobuoy says, I found it.
Yep.
And a little flag comes up.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually designed a little flag to pop up like this in the water.
Great design, Dave. Great design.
Hey, it's fail-safe,
Right. Unless a shark eats it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
bacon flag.
No, the Sonobuoy transmits the data back to the plane.
Okay.
That it was
so
tossed
it's
out
of,
or the boat. It was tossed out of. Yeah.
Right.
But they only work for 4 or 8 hours, and then it automatically scuttles itself to the bottom.
Ah, that's the one you were talking about the other week.
Yeah.
Huh. That's cool, man.
So, yeah. So, military technology, that's what it has to do, because you don't want the Russian fishing trawlers coming around and finding it and picking it up and figuring out how your sonar works. So
Right, yeah.
They automatically sync themselves, yeah. Yeah, I had a little circuit which, timed out and burnt a resistor and actually just put current through a resistor which was taped or in a little pocket on the inside of the inflatable floaty bag that sits on the surface. And bingo, it burns a hole in the side and the thing sinks.
Down it goes. That's pretty funny. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, we should. As well. So we didn't really talk about this when it happened because it was about 2 weeks ago when we were doing our last show. I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
I think we had just heard about it. But yeah, there were some Freescale employees that were on the flight as well.
Yeah,
and
there were like 20 of them.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And of course, the conspiracy theories instantly came out that it was the competitors, or they actually hijacked the plane to steal all their employees.
That's ridiculous.
Man, these people are wacko.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. So I mean, even though it's provided intrigue and stuff like that, it's just it is tragic. I mean, these kind of things always.
Yep.
It's
in these big companies, it's actually corporate. They will have corporate policies that say, that limit the maximum number of executives that can fly on the same plane.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is common. This is common in any big company.
Right. And I mean, that's just like, the president and the vice president of states can't be on the same transport as well.
Plane. Yeah, exactly. Because if they go down, well, it's the Speaker of the House.
Right. We used to joke about that at work, that, we'd all go out to lunch and we'd have enough people there in a car driving to lunch to take down the whole product line. And you think about it, I mean, tragedy is still tragedy, but like that could severely impact a company, right? I mean, if you think about
totally
knowledge leaders within a company, like there's usually that one guy who, he's just does a lot of important stuff and it's all stuck in his brain, and for some reason either he's too worked up to ever document it or anything like that, or he just can't be replaced because of how he or she did their work, and that's it, man.
It's very rare that a company go down due to one person, but you knock out most of your top people, and well, it's all over Red Rover.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I don't think it would. It's not like the whole thing would fall apart unless they're doing like hot fixes every day. But it's like if the product might not have any future after that, then though, right? If they're the ones who are the architects and everything, it's just that's it then. So. Yes, it's very. It's. We're sad to hear that. So, hopefully, the conclusion will come up soon. That's kind of that's what everyone's waiting for.
Well,
right?
They'd better make it soon because that transponder only works for another week tops or something like that.
Right.
Otherwise, and then then it turns off. Actually, they're not quite sure because what temperature is the water's very cold. It limits the battery life, and
so deep,
all sorts
like
of stuff.
said,
and there's variability in that, and there's variability in any battery capacity at a certain temperature. You characterize one. Well, that may not be how the other one operates. It might be, 5 days less battery life or something.
Yeah. I'm always amazed too. Like, I mean, you think about these search parties that are going out too, like, and just like they've been talking about how rough the waters have been. But man, the ocean is a big, scary place. Like it's not.
The other interesting thing I read this morning: some Australian researcher did his PhD thesis on exactly this. Right? What he did is he actually went out to the Indian Ocean, almost where the plane was, like not far away, actually, like 6 months ago, and he dropped multiple sonobuoys in the same location, right? Like they were just meters apart.
Okay.
And they would then drift apart hundreds of kilometers per day.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
So they wouldn't even stay together. That's how chaotic the currents are.
Yeah, and the currents are just taking
Indian
things
Ocean.
everywhere, right? Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere. It's just completely chaotic.
I've seen
so
Finding Nemo. I know about the East Australian Current or whatever it is.
Right, right.
EAC. You guys got some crazy oceans down there.
Dude.
Yeah. You guys should come experience the currents of Lake Erie. It's pretty intense up here.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's so far in the middle of bloody nowhere.
I know.
Like, it's like a 5-hour flight from Perth, which is already in the middle
12
of
from you, isn't
nowhere.
It? Yeah.
Yeah, well, something like that. If I was to fly to this location, it's like 10 or 12 hours away. It's in the middle of bloody nowhere. So they fly out there. They spend like 5 hours flying down there. They can only search for a maximum of 2 hours. Then they've got to spend 5 hours flying back.
Right.
What a shit job.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, it is. That's a long commute.
Oh, man. Yep. Especially in the back of a bloody, P3 Orion or something like that.
Right, yeah, some cargo plane with just a bunch of equipment. Yeah.
It's not exactly business class.
No, not quite.
It's not even, at that point, you'd be praying for cattle class, Please, can I have cattle class right at the back near the toilet?
Right, right. No recline.
That'd be luxury.
Yeah. Speaking of flying, I'm going to be. I changed some plans around. I'm going out to EE Live this year.
What's E Live?
That used to be ESC. The
ESC, right? Okay.
Design West as
right.
well. ESC Silicon Valley or whatever.
Okay.
So I will be out there.
Yeah, I was invited to that.
Yeah, right. It's a shorter flight for me. Slightly shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only 15 hours for me.
Yeah, it's short 15 hours. So I'm definitely terrified of flying now. Try to put it out of your mind, but it's it's there right now. And it's stupid, right? It's no different statistically.
No, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yep.
But man, so I'll be out there though, and so I'm not sure if I'm guessing a couple listeners will be out there. I know Alicia will be out there speaking. We talked to her about that when she was on the show. I think a couple other past guests. Or Bunny Huang's given the keynote as well. So
right. Okay.
Hopefully we'll get to meet up with him as well. And if there aren't any planned events, I will be tweeting about meetups somewhere. So nothing right. solid yet, but it's always good to try and get together and meet up and stuff.
So this is the one in San Jose?
That's right. Yep. I'll be out there.
It's at the McHenry Adventure... McHenry?
Yeah, something
Convention
like that.
Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
the one right in downtown, next to the Computer History Museum. So.
Yep. Been there, got the T-shirt.
Yeah, good.
No, it's not. It's not next to the Computer History Museum. That's in bloody Whoop Whoop.
Nuh-uh. They moved it.
Ah, okay.
I think so.
Well, it's not the McHenry Convention Center then.
No. The convention. You're right. It is that convention center. It's right downtown though, and I'm pretty sure the Computer History Museum's right there too.
No, it's not. The Computer History. I had to get a bus and then walk for an hour to get to the Computer History Museum. Yeah.
Did you go to the right one? I thought I saw it right across the street. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I Computer History Museum.
I think you're wrong.
Oh, Mountain View.
I think you're wrong, dude.
I think I am wrong. You're right. So what the hell's right there?
There you go. See, I know San Jose better than you do.
Oh, yeah. You're really hurting my feelings there now that I've been there twice.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I've been there two or three times.
What the heck was I thinking about? There's something right in downtown San Jose. I'm not sure what it is. So there's something there. And I saw that last time, too.
There's a science museum, which is just across the road.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But
right.
Anywho,
there's
I'll be there.
The children's near Woz Way. If you go down Woz Way, it's named after the Woz, of course. That's just down the road. I can even tell you that it's south of the McHenry. Southwest of the McHenry Adventure Center, Convention Center. It's southwest of there, Woz Way, and that's the Children's Science Museum or something. It's the Children's Science Museum, or
what the heck was I thinking of? Okay, well, it must be something. Oh, the Tech Museum of Innovation. Anyway. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I was thinking of.
Tech Museum of Innovation. That's the one that's across the road. There you go.
What is that? Do you know or no?
It's not that impressive. They've got this really cool, the rolly ball machines out the front. I'm sure I can find a photo. I've got a photo of it somewhere. And, they've got one, in a big glass cabinet, and they've got like 100 rolly steel balls rolling down big contraptions. I love those things. I stand there and watch them for hours.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. It's like
I don't know what the word is
machine kind of thing, or whatever those are called.
Yeah.
There's a name for
arms move and balls flip and move from one thing and roll and it's great.
Yeah.
And little conveyor belts taken back up the top.
Right. That's fun to watch.
Sure, there's a word for those things. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's out the front. I went inside. It's not that. I just went meh, So.
Okay.
Don't feel bad if you miss it.
Okay. So I'll be in the area though, and if people want to meet up, give me a shout. We'll maybe have an amp hour meetup somewhere. If not, I'll probably find the whoever's closest to, giving beer on the show floor or whatever. You can always find one of those, the show floor beer booths. That's all that matters. You
should have your own booth, and you should have your own homebrew there. Or something.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. I don't homebrew, so that might be kind of tough. I might not make the cutoff. It's in about a week, so. I thought you homebrew. No, I never got into that. I leave that up to others. Okay. A lot of people do that, though. Right. I can't. If I had that much beer in my house, Dave, it'd be a very bad thing.
They're right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it'd be bad. Yeah.
Hey, big thing that happened since we were last on the show.
Yeah. What?
And get out your bingo cards, folks. There's probably lots of wank words in here.
I know what this is.
Spark Fun.
Yeah.
Multimeters.
Come on, everybody's probably heard about this by now, right? I'm always interested.
Yeah, everyone,
we talk about this
about
stuff, but obviously it's kind of been talked about a bit. And,
yeah, and it is textbook reply from Fluke. If you haven't heard about it, I'll give you the skinny. SparkFun tried to import 2,000 multimeters, little $15 ones. Probably cost them $5 a pop, right? Straight out of China. Like, they're SparkFun branded, and, they've carefully chosen it to be, economical and suitable for beginners, blah, blah, blah.
These
anyway,
are rebadged from China.
Ages,
we know
apparently.
what these are. I mean, these...
Oh, yeah, they've just been rebadged. There's some other model,
You go to Shenzhen
brand.
Market, you're going to find something exactly like this, and it's going to have
It'll
14
be
different badges on it.
exactly the same.
Right.
Exactly. But, hey, it gets the SparkFun badge on. Anyway, they've imported these before, apparently. No problem, sold them. But this 2,000, they got a letter from the customs department saying, we will not let these into the country. You've been busted. It's violating Fluke's trademark/trade dress order that we've got, which says, these multimeters are not to be imported into this country. And... tough tits. What would you like us to do with them? We can ship them back, or we can destroy them at your cost.
Right.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
because they're yellow, or because they have a yellow holster.
It's the holster? What do you mean by holster? You mean...
It's the holster. The holster around the outside, the rubber boot, as you guys might call them.
Oh, okay. I think holster, I think like a carrying case, like a cowboy.
Oh, no.
Not
Sorry.
to be
we
too
call
stereotypical
even
American.
Fluke call it, right. Even Fluke call it a holster.
Okay.
Right. It's the yellow boot, rubber boot, which goes around the outside of the meter.
Right.
And that is Fluke's trade dress. It's not a trademark. We have to be rather clear. People think this is a trademark issue. It's not strictly so. It's actually trade dress. And what that means is that your company, your company has a history of selling something that looks a certain way. Your reputation is built on something, be it, in this case, the yellow holster, the yellow outline with a dark-coloured meter. Fluke have been selling those since, I did my research, since 1988.
Okay.
So... with the Fluke 80 series, which was the first to have that. And they've been doing that ever since. But they only trademarked it in 2000, and it was granted in 2003. Okay. But it's not specifically a trademark. As I said, it's trade dress.
Trade dress,
so,
okay.
Yes, Fluke put in, I can't remember the exact term, I'd have to look it up, but they put in here it is, they got a Trade Commission exclusion order. Which basically tells the customs department, to be on the lookout for any multimeters, and they listed like a dozen different brands. SparkFun weren't one of them, but they listed,
right. Yeah,
10 different brands.
There's someone whose job it is to look for this stuff, right?
DMM
comes
exactly.
into country,
and
here's a list of things that it should look for, right? Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, so it's a Trade Commission exclusion order. So technically the customs are supposed to check all multimeters that come into the country because Fluke is so important and special that they warrant, a waste of your taxpayer dollars to do that. Right, so...
Right.
Glad it's not my tax dollars. I'll be kicking up more of a stink. And apparently, like this shipment was big enough to get on the radar. Somebody checked. Hey, somebody was really doing their job well. And they checked and said, no, sorry, this kind of meets this exclusion order. It's got a yellow holster with a greyish coloured, charcoal coloured meter or black meter. And sorry. What?
Yeah.
So, I
guess my question would be, okay, so now you and I decide to get this is ridiculous an example, but you and I decide to get a trade dress restriction on amp hour t-shirts, right? The black amp hour t-shirt, and any amp hour t-shirts that come into the country that, or, anyone who does that.
That would be a trademark.
Okay, because it's
more
not
than
the
trade
look.
dress. No, a better example would be my microcurrent. I could
that's a good example.
get say a trade dress on a red PCB used as a front panel in a black box,
That's
mounted
so
on
dumb.
a black box, right?
Yeah.
I know, but you could. Right, I don't think you can do it here in Australia. Right, it's
No.
it's a Yankee thing.
Okay,
right?
it's
Yankee
it's a
madness,
lawyer thing, right? I mean, this is obviously, and it's also going to be a big company, right? You're going to have some kind of enforcement, and you have to probably pay lots of legal fees and.
Well, see, that's the thing. Trade dress, because it's not really a trademark issue, it is more based on, well, we will sue you after the fact. We will, look,
right.
we don't necessarily have a trademark which shows the exact thing. You haven't copied our meter, but you've copied the look. It's the famous, Microsoft look and feel, the Apple Microsoft look and feel case. It's a similar sort of thing.
Right, yeah, the curved corners and all that other crap.
Yeah, curved corners and buttons or a tablet or whatever, similar sort of, similar sort of thing. And but in this case, there's a mechanism in the US as part of this, trade exclusion order thing, which allows you to, basically try and get things excluded from the country automatically. So that's just nuts.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
And the thing is, this has not been tested in court, right? Trade dress is not like a trademark. It's not like you've copied their logo and it's absolutely obvious and you're going to lose that court case. It's probably, if SparkFun had enough money, they could probably challenge this and... they might stand a good chance of winning, maybe.
And so the thing Fluke's counting on is that other big companies, so Agilent's not going to ever have a big yellow meter or DMM, right? That's
Tektronix did.
Yeah, but then
this
they bought
is the other famous case, which I've linked to before. I'll see if I can find the link.
Okay.
Tektronix used to sell I've got one right here. It's the 870 or something, and it was a yellow. It was a black meter in a yellow holster. Right, and Fluke waved their finger at them, or their lawyers did, and said, "You can't do that." And Tech went, "Okay, we'll change it to a blue holster," and they changed it to a blue holster and changed the model number. Yeah, it happened. This is documented. Yeah. I don't know how far it made it in terms of court. I don't think it actually made it to court. I think Tech just backed down and went, "Okay, there's not worth spending the money on. We'll just change it to blue." So they did. So I've got two identical Tektronix multimeters here. One's got a yellow holster, one's got a blue holster. And they changed it because Fluke threatened them. Which, look, you can kind of sort of understand, right? From you want to protect your brand and you want to protect your look. And, Fluke is saying, hey, we're doing this to protect you. Right. We're doing this for you, the customer, because you might be confused. You're so dumb, you might confuse a $10 cheapie Shenzhen market meter with our quality Fluke, and you'll go use it and kill yourself.
Guys,
we're protecting
those people at the trade booth, they're just giving away Fluke 87s. Yeah, right, guys. Look again. That's Flake. That's
it's
Flake
like,
182, right?
Yeah. This is why I don't like anyone this is not freaking, the redneck consumer industry, right? With dumb people buying these. These are, they're skilled practitioners in the field buying these things.
That are paying for that extra digit or paying for the, that other feature, and they know they're paying for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I think there would be a good challenge. You'd stand a good chance of winning a challenge to this, because Fluke would have to prove that, the average person buying these would be confused. And the answer is, I don't think they would.
Right.
They know exactly what they're buying. They're buying a cheap Chinese meter.
Right. They're buying it because it's cheap and because, Yeah,
exactly. And they know it's not a fluke.
Well, let's get to the response and move on from this, because I think we're spending too much time on lawyer stuff as well.
We are.
Yeah. So what's the response, Dave?
The response is Fluke came out and said, "Oh, yes, we love SparkFun and we support the educational community. Rah, rah, wank, wank." I don't have it here in front of me. But Fluke said, "Yes, well, we will give you free meters, more than the value of the $30,000 it's going to cost you to scrap these things, even though it's only going to cost them like less than 10 grand or something, because they buy them for peanuts." We will give you these multimeters and you can do whatever you want with them. Hint, hint, which means you will give them away. Otherwise, you'll look like the bad guys and not Fluke.
Right.
Ta-da! It was a brilliant, it was
I don't know.
Absolutely textbook.
It's textbook, and
right?
that's what it is.
It's textbook.
Someone is patting themselves on the back.
They didn't fix the problem.
We had a social media response this year, guys. Yay!
Yay,
we responded to
we
controversy.
Won, and we got our brand back.
Yay! Okay, cool. Well,
and of course, and they didn't back down. They said, we will continue to vigorously, I'm paraphrasing, vigorously protect our trademark because it's protecting you, the customer, rah, but we will give these meters for free because we support and SparkFun and the engine and the educational community. And so SparkFun actually were left, they got the raw end of the stick here. The problem wasn't fixed. Right? Fluke didn't say, oh, sorry, no, you can keep the meters. No. Yeah, you have to destroy them, right? Or you have to do whatever you want with them. No, we won't talk to customers and let the meters come in, so that they can so that you can give them to hobbyists to, no. They failed. So they're not, so SparkFun are out the however much it cost them to buy these meters.
Yeah.
Plus, they have to give the Flukes away. They can't sell them. Fluke didn't say that they couldn't sell them, but of course, SparkFun would have looked like the bad guy,
right? If they
right, so the Fluke press release was worded in a not so subtle way that sort of hinted that SparkFun should give these away, otherwise you'll be bad guys.
I know this is so dumb. This is
so SparkFun lose all round pretty much.
I know,
except for the advertising. Because they probably got more in advertising for this than, there's no such thing as bad publicity. As
I suppose so, yeah, right.
In the industry.
I'm so sick of this already. I mean, it really is, right? It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, classic response from Fluke. Textbook came direct from their CEO,
I guess the real question is, okay, so Fluke, you're protecting your trademark and your trade dress, whatever. What have you done for me lately? What's your new meter, right? I mean, that's all I care about. I mean, honestly,
exactly.
Okay, this stuff is a blip. I can't muster any enthusiasm about this. I saw it, of course, but yeah. And SparkFun.
Me neither. I was going to do a rant on it, but
I'm surprised SparkFun actually
quickly.
didn't have a red multimeter because they have red everything. I mean, they have red boards and like all their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So. That's their logo.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, so maybe that's just that's probably what's going to happen next. That's probably what I would do, and good for them. Brand everything if you want to. All right, back to other stuff.
It actually came with a red probe and a red cardboard backing.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Does that count?
Right.
No, but you would think that they would have the SparkFun red holster or something.
I have a question for you because I've been struggling with this actually. What is and I already know what your response is going to be, but I'm going to tell you no to that too. What is the cheapest oscilloscope you can find?
The cheap? Well, what are you talking about when you say oscilloscope? You're talking brand new?
Okay, well, that's what I figured you were going to say. Yeah, you're going to say, oh, go buy an analog scope off eBay, right? And I agree.
No, yeah, I need some. It's an open-ended question. Yeah. I need more.
Okay, so here's the real situation. I'm trying to find. So I have, a bunch of people signing up for Session 1B of Contextual Electronics, right?
Yeah.
And basically, I need to have.
And you have to recommend.
I need to have a standard one, right? Because the real problem, it's actually not a problem of finding a good one. It's having a good one that's standard and available, so that if everybody has it, then when you start troubleshooting, you need to start from the same point of, okay, well, did you do this? Step one, right? And so I've started evaluating them, and I just, oh man, this low end is.
Your eyes rolled in the back of your head.
It's tough.
I know.
It's tough.
I know.
So
it's crazy.
What do you got for me?
And we're talking bench here, right? We're talking bench.
Bench or handheld? I mean, really, whatever's cheap. Honestly, it's a cost issue, right? I mean, like, what is the? I mean, obviously, you talk about the DS1052.
Well, then the cheapest one's
right?
like a DO Nano or some little toy thing,
right? Well, and that's the thing.
One of those little sub-$100 toys.
Yeah, and so that's what I've been evaluating. I don't know. Have you ever looked at those at all, or no?
Yeah, they're shit.
Yeah.
They're like there's They're just toys, they fit an incredibly small niche where you can't afford more than $100 and you want digital storage and you want it to fit in your pocket or your bag.
No. I want to see a signal.
Yes.
No, I want to see a 1 megahertz signal or less. I mean, honestly, I don't care about anything more than that. In fact, I'm actually saying I want a throwaway scope. I want to have to the point where...
Then that's your ticket. That's the one you get.
Yeah. Damn. All right, well, I have a DSO Nano in front of me. I have a Handtech. You ever looked at these Handtech USB scopes? I've tried this out as well.
Oh, yes. Yep.
You like it? No? Nothing? Yes? No?
Which model are you talking about?
It's the lowest end one, the 6022. The BE.
Oh, right. No, I haven't actually.
So it's a 20
seen
megahertz.
That in the flesh. No, that's pretty expensive, isn't it? That one's not cheap.
It's like $80.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a 20 megahertz one. The only problem though is that it's so they give you Windows tools for it, and I've tried it out. I put like SIGGEN into it and stuff like that. It's it picks it up. It's fine, and it does up to 35 volts, I think. So it's not like it's gonna bust if you do like 2 volts. But the real problem is that people in Linux or Mac, right? I mean, this is a legitimate case where it's like, okay, if it's only going to be Windows, that's a much higher cost, and
why do you need that? It's a handheld scope. It's got its own screen. What do you?
No. This is a USB scope, man.
USB.
Yeah. I figured I'd get you going on that one.
Handheld to USB.
And I've looked at kits and everything else, but
spiraling down the toilet.
I know exactly. Well, that's what it comes down to, right? I mean, like,
yeah. I know.
Putting a screen on it.
People want magic. They,
Right, and you got to pay for quality,
right? They want some
right?
fantastic scope for $100. I'm sorry, you're not going to get one.
I don't want a
fantastic.
I want a scope for $100. That's honestly what it comes down to.
Well, then that's all you're going to get. You're going to get a scope. It might display a waveform, kind of.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess there's still room in the market for innovation. I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of crap out there, right? I mean, there's some stuff out there. Like I looked at that. What's the one that? The Gabotronics as well. There was that little tiny scope as well.
Yes, the little one that sits on a breadboard.
Yeah, right.
Little Arduino-y type thing. Yeah,
and I mean,
or little arm.
Honestly, for the stuff I'm doing, it's not. I just need to see some kind of movement, right? I mean, that's the low end that I'm dealing with, and it's a.
Well, then that might do the job. That little module. That you could.
So you're not going to help me here, huh? You and your $20,000 scopes that you get gifted.
I've helped you. I've said that
you're screwed.
You've already identified the ones that are suitable, and that's it. Yeah. There's nothing magically better. I'm sorry.
If there's anyone else out there that knows of a sub-$100 scope,
heck, you can use your sound card.
Right.
You want cheap? Use your bloody sound card.
Who has a sound card? Are you just saying like a mic input? You're saying?
Yeah, mic input.
Yeah.
Which is AC only. It's going to be AC coupled, so you forget about DC on there. And, usually the way you do it is you get a sound card, you modify it for DC input. So you bypass the AC coupling caps and you put an amplifier front end. Amplifier / attenuator front end on it. You can buy a kit from like J-Car.
Yeah, right.
That, is a front end for your sound card. It's got a couple of knobs that, can set the range and all that sort of stuff. And you plug a standard 1 meg probe into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's tough, right? Because people.
It's not tough. Just pick one. They're all equally shit.
Yeah. Well, no. The tough part is
just pick the lowest cost one.
Is asking people to pay for the course and then pay for parts and pay for and pay for gear if they don't have it as well, right? That's kind of the real problem. Is that everybody's dealt with this, listeners. You're getting started up, right? You got to build your stuff up, right?
Everyone bought their first scope, of course.
Right, and you gotta kind of get to that point and. It's a tough sell when it's like, trying to tell someone, oh, well, just, start with a $400 scope, right? I have a Rigol. I enjoy it. Like, it's a good scope.
I started with an $800 scope.
Yeah.
I saved up all my money.
Yeah. You still have it?
When I was a kid, no.
What was it?
I sold it a long time ago. It was a Kikasui COS 5020.
Kikasui, huh?
20 megahertz dual channel.
Nice.
Scope.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anyone to get a hand-me-down.
Right. Well, and that would be the best case,
valve
right?
scope or anything. I just didn't know anyone.
Right.
So I had to, I worked my ass off when I was a kid.
Yep.
earning pocket money, saved all up, and I bought an $800 scope, like when I was like 13 or something.
Right. Well, and it is a testament to how much more accessible the field is now too. That there is even an option for an $80 scope.
There's that was the most affordable option back then.
Right. Exactly.
Or no, maybe $500-600 was like the cheap. You could get like a single channel 10 megahertz, I think, for like $600. But I was proud that I'd saved up the money and I could afford a real, proper 20 megahertz dual channel.
Right. And you probably used the hell out of that thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I can remember I went to the trip. I was so proud. I hopped on the train. I went all the way to the city, to David Reed Electronics in the city. Yeah. Because that was the only place you could buy it. There was none of this mail order credit card online shit when I was
back in my day. Yeah, exactly.
I went in there and I took the money out of the...
took
the money out of the machine. And, I paid cash.
Nice.
I paid cash for my 20 megahertz dual channel scope.
Wow. Dang, man.
But they didn't have it in stock. I was so disappointed they had to deliver it to me. Oh, man, that was devastating.
That last waiting. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes, those were the days.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Well,
what was your first scope?
First scope was a...
but you're different. You started when you were like 20 or something like that.
Yeah. So, I had scopes at work before I had one at home, right? So that's the difference.
Yep, there you go.
So,
okay, fail. All right.
Yeah. Not a fail. It's just a different circumstance, man. That's why. That's why you're better at this shit than me.
I've been doing it longer.
Exactly. Well, this is so. Speaking of the real hardware engineer syndrome, did you read this thing about the real programmer syndrome? Did you?
No.
Happen to catch that one?
Detail.
So basically, it was this thing. It was going around Reddit a while back, and basically, it's something that we've probably all felt. It's like it's an imposter syndrome basically for technology, right? So you always look around, you think your coworkers are doing more work, you think they're working harder, you think they're doing better work.
Right.
And then basically that helps drive you, and sometimes it drives people to the point of burnout, overwork, that kind of thing. And so there's just a lot of coverage about that. There's these memes that kind of pop up through through the internet and stuff. But
right.
I had asked on Reddit if this exists in electronics too, right? I mean, and it's
totally.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at like watching YouTube videos, right? Like watching your videos or Alan's or Jerry's, or I mean, anyone on YouTube, and you look at these videos.
There's
you're
always
like, oh
someone
my God.
Doing better stuff.
Right,
always.
Exactly. Or if you watch like Hackaday, right? You're like, holy crap, everybody's doing projects right now, and I can't even get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I know. It's so cool.
Yeah, right.
Every time somebody else one of the other electronics video bloggers uploads a video, I go, oh, look at that. Shit, isn't that good?
Right.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
How did they do? Oh, look at all the work they put into that. Oh shit, I couldn't possibly do that.
Right.
I wouldn't have
right. Well, and like Scott talked about,
the inclination. They're so dedicated to it.
Right. Well, like Scott talked about with his soldering video too. Like we had that on the show, right? I guess you guys were talking about the soldering videos and comparing stats and everything like that. And Scott's like, he said he worked on it for 100 hours.
And mine, I slapped mine together in bloody an hour or two, right? But he did a proper course, got all the right tools, and did it professionally with all the best tools and everything. Like shit, I threw mine together in half an hour.
Yeah.
It's like and his was better, because of it.
Yeah. Right, and so Baba Delay, Bob Bad Delay, on Reddit. I hate those usernames. I wish they used real names. Anyways, but he wrote about it too, and basically how there's always something new to learn as well, right? I mean, that's one of the best things about electronics is that there's always another field to jump into, right? I mean, I've been kind of getting the itch for RF lately, and like FPGAs are always at the back of my mind, and it's just like there's always programming and everything else, but that also kind of feeds into that same thing of like, oh, I don't know anything. I got to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's even before you get depth on one one field before you try and jump into another. It's just, terrible feeling. So yeah.
Yep, it's totally real.
Yeah, not
and
just
there's nothing
programming.
you can do about it except do what you enjoy doing, and that's it.
Yep.
I would try and compete. Trying to compete is just, I don't know, but if that drives you, if that's the thing that drives you, okay, but, fine, so be it. But no, I think, ideally you shouldn't try and compete. You should do your own thing. Do what you enjoy is always the first option, I think.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
And if it's not as advanced as what somebody else is doing, well, so what? If it isn't as cool, well, so what? At least you enjoy doing it.
Right, yeah. I think I wish I would...
But, some people enjoy competing, right? Oh, I'm going to make a better video than that guy. I'm going to design a cooler project than him. I'm going to, my thing's going to be twice as fast or half the power as that guy over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be it.
So someone also asked on the subreddit about ARM tool chains. Speaking of things that I have no idea about, because people are doing that kind of stuff, I guess. Do you do any ARM stuff at all? That's another one that's just like...
Not really, no.
I don't even know where to start with that stuff. So some people in our audience know about that thing. So
why is it any different to any regular microcontroller? It's not. It's exactly the bloody same. Except when you go ARM, typically you're more often than not probably going to go into the high-level stuff. You're probably choosing ARM processor because you want to run an operating system, and you want to drive a big graphical display, and you want to network, and you want to do this and that jazz.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Well, I guess, Alicia was talking about that a couple weeks ago, though, too. She was talking about doing bare metal stuff on... I think that's where this question came from, was talking about that. Because...
there'll be the fanboys out there, because man, they are fanatical. The ones who think, pick an Atmel are dead. Why use an 8-bit micro when you can throw a 50-cent... ARM
LPC,
micro
right,
into everything.
Yeah, Cortex M something or other, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they're pretty fanatical. So now, no doubt we'll get complaints. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing we can always guarantee, right, Dave? No doubt.
Talk to the hand.
Yeah, no doubt we'll get complaints. Well, there are some good Alvaro wrote some resources and stuff as well for compiling and stuff like that. So definitely worth checking out. I guess, I don't know. Just another thing that goes on the list. Put it into Evernote. Add it to the list of things to learn.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
What is this myth of science and engineering shortage?
Oh, same old.
Same old
there's
shit.
no,
there's not enough engineers.
Yeah, no jobs,
right.
Even though that people keep talking about it. I don't know. That's
right.
not...
Is there no jobs, or there's not enough engineers to fill them?
The myth is that there's not enough engineers to fill them, basically.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. And, of course, in the industry, it's complete opposite. Everyone goes, there's not enough jobs out there.
Right, exactly.
Right, no, so...
I think I got lucky with that one, because honestly, you mentioned that I didn't do, hobbyist stuff as a kid, and you're totally right about that. And I think I got lucky. I don't think I followed it for the... I always thought that there would be some kind of jobs in electronics, right? But it's not like I was doing it because of the timing. In fact, I think it all dipped off when I started. I started school in 2001, and I think... like the late 90s when a lot of the networking stuff was really kicking up. That all fell off by that point.
You started school in 2001.
Yes. College.
I got my first professional job in 1989.
Well, you're old. And...
Shit, I am.
So you've had a faster start than me, man. Yeah. So, where was I going? You threw me off. But like anything, like if you follow any kind of those job trends or anything like that, like where are the jobs and trying to get jobs based on that?
Oh, you're
screwed.
I hate those.
Like you're screwed no matter what.
I know.
Yeah, you gotta do it for enjoying it, and then based on because if you don't enjoy it, you're not gonna stick with it.
Everyone did that.
Oh yeah.
In the computer industry, around maybe the late 90s, I think the fad was all network. You get your network certification, right? And you're earning $200,000 a year, sitting pretty, just plugging cables in, right? You get your Cisco certification, all that sort of jazz, and that was all the rage back then. And the market just it worked for a couple of years, and then the market just absolutely tanked.
Yep.
No, all these overqualified freaking cable stuffers,
Oh, right, yeah, I know. Running, pulling cable through conduit kind of thing. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, and the wages plummeted, and then it became right. Then there became just oversaturated of people.
Yeah.
Number of people who would do it. It went from a shortage of people to an absolute glut of people, and then the wages went down by 60-70% or something. Crazy.
Right. Well, and so the same kind of topic actually did come up in this article about. Of course, I was my eye was drawn to is how finance gutted manufacturing, and basically this article is like the TLDR is like too long didn't read is like the MBA playbook. Basically, now that there was a lower cost option, and basically because the MBAs and the finance people weren't the bean counters were in charge, basically they moved stuff to the absolute lowest cost country without any thought to consequence. And basically there's a whole article, it's in Boston Review. It's actually quite a good article talking about, basically the stockholder pressures and stuff like that basically pushed all this stuff off. And it's not that it's right or wrong, it just did. And basically that's what drove a lot of manufacturing out of the US or out of Australia and stuff like that, just because chasing lowest cost countries. And now that it's slowed down in terms of where it moves, right? I don't hear too much about things moving to Thailand, right? And now it's just like Shenzhen's getting more expensive, right? And it's still there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys, it's still there. So it's kind of.
Here's an interesting thought that just occurred to me.
What's that?
Are we possibly coming towards a glut of electronics people, just like that networking thing happened with the new hacker maker craze, right? Every man and his dog and girls are doing electronics, right? Everyone's doing electronics. Is there going to be a glut of people looking for electronics jobs out there with, they've done some electronics and they think, well, I can go in the industry and get a job?
I think
maybe not.
No, I think you're right. I think you're totally right. If there was all of the people that worked on electronics went out tomorrow and started looking for jobs and wanted to find a job that works on electronics, then
wages would plummet.
Not even wages would plummet.
They just hiring.
No one would find anything. I think that's But I think
and wages would plummet as a consequence because companies will shoot themselves in the foot. They won't pay good money to hire someone good. They will pay low money to hire someone shit and who can barely do the job, and then they'll just make do with that person, or they'll hire two of those people and make up
Same
for
thing,
it.
right?
It still costs less than a really good one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what companies will do because it's all bottom line stuff, and that's what happened to the network industry. Instead of hiring good people, they just you've got your Cisco certification, you must be good, I'll hire you. But there's such a glut, they just the prices just plummeted.
Well, I
wages
think
just went down.
It's very possible. I think if you looked at companies that were looking for people that were good with an Arduino, I think you'd be right. I mean, I think you'd find that. But then I think about how many different niches there are. I mean, there's only so many people that have written complicated programs for certain micros, but that's usually how companies search for that kind of thing. So
totally.
Yeah.
If for those newbies out there who are looking for a job, what it basically comes down to, very common in the industry, any smart company will do this, even the dumb ones really will do this to a certain extent, is if they need someone to program ARM microcontrollers, well, they want somebody who's programmed ARM microcontrollers. They don't want somebody who's programmed PIC microcontrollers. Often that's not good enough. They're going to hire the ARM.
Well, they're going to use programs that search through resume banks that search for keywords.
Search through resume banks. And,
I think the real question there,
so
though,
if you don't have all the keywords in
is
there,
if you want that job, right? I think that ultimately is
right.
I don't know. It's tough for me to say. I don't know. That is a very good question, Dave. I don't know. I think so. Say you're a new grad right now, right? And you just finished an EE degree. The reasons to be concerned are if you don't give a crap, right? If you just want a job,
right?
Yeah, then you should be concerned. But if you're interested in it and you're working on stuff outside of school or outside of work, I think people are going to be falling all over themselves. So I don't know. I guess the real question is there a point, an inflection point where there are less electronics needed, right? And
Well, yeah, I mean, they're always going to be needed, but it's always, because everything's in a chip these days.
That's true.
It's plugging chips together, following app notes, that kind
of
right. Electronics.
Yeah,
that is so
right.
Yeah, it's systems integration, systems engineering, that kind of stuff. But I think you nailed it with the phrase. There's so many niche areas.
Yeah. Right.
So I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think there's going to be an issue here because the people who've programmed their Arduino or they're just a hobbyist mucking around, they're not going to get the job that requires an ARM or a FPGA or something like that. They're not going to hire. They want someone with those specific skills, probably more and more these days.
Yeah. Right.
Perhaps.
Well. So I gave a talk, was it last weekend in Iowa, and I was doling out lots of advice. Always be wary of people giving out advice. Right. But basically, I mean, one of the points I made is that the most loyal you can be to a company is to give your hard work, right? And I might have even gotten that from you. I'm not sure, but that's how loyal you should be to a company, I think. And I think this day and age and how this this whole finance gutted manufacturing thing and just how the whole corporate structures are these days as well. I think young and old and medium aged engineers, they need to be working on their careers and working on themselves and keeping an eye out and basically developing their own skills, keeping an eye out for trends, and basically being prepared to not necessarily work for yourself, but being in the business of looking out for yourself, right? No one's looking out for you.
Well,
technically, no one ever has been.
See, well, that's not being loyal to the company, is it? And I don't think you should be loyal to the company. Well, because they're not going to be loyal to you. Right. Right? As you said, you've got to be out there learning stuff just in case you get the ass from the company because they're not going to be loyal to you. I guarantee you that.
Right. No,
right? That's one thing you can guarantee.
Right. No, and I said that
and so you have to be out there learning all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That will be of use in your next job.
Right.
You're always looking ahead.
The reason I don't like saying you shouldn't be loyal to a company, there's always a star there, right? Because it's not like you should be, putting your hand into the money pot, right? It's not that. It's
right.
That's why I say the best loyalty you can give is your hard work. While you're there, you're working hard, you're giving it all, giving it your all, but you're also, your eyes are open, right? You're not.
Of course.
If you're just the guy in the back doing one task over and over and over again, you got to figure eventually someone's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, we figured out some other way to do this. You're not needed anymore. And so if you're just doing one task over and over and over again, you should probably take a step back and say, what else am I learning? Am I learning at work? If I can't learn at work, can I learn outside of work, right? You always talk about that in your design jollies at home. And that's just important. I mean, that's just developing yourself as a professionally developing yourself, right? And, if you do that stuff, I think who's going to tell you no then, right? Oh, sorry, you can't work here anymore. Then you turn around and say, okay, well, I'll go work on this stuff somewhere else, or I'll go work for myself. And it's just like, okay.
I've had companies that I've interviewed at. They specifically said that. In fact, I could name them. Silverbrook.
Yeah.
Right?
Shitheads.
It's a nutcase Kia Silverbrook. Yeah, right. Seriously, they would ask you that at the interview. Do you work on any stuff out? And just, of course, you say, yeah, of course I do. Look, my resume is full of shit I've worked on the outside. Yeah. And they go, you can't do that anymore. And it's like, okay. Screw you, buddy.
Oh, you know what? I stopped 5 minutes ago, by the way. What are you going to do? You going to send a camera home with me? Yeah.
And it got, I've probably talked about this on the show before, but I'll bring it up again. It got so batshit crazy that I actually went into specific cases with them. I said, well, okay, look, if I decide to write a book on gardening.
Yeah, right.
Right? I just pulled that out of my ass, right? If I want to write a book on gardening, would I be allowed to do that? No.
That's ridiculous.
No, you're not allowed to do it. Seriously, that's
Did you ask him for a list of what you are allowed to do at home?
I basically said, well, what can I do? Yeah. And they just they didn't answer. They all just shook their head.
Watch TV? You can watch TV like we do?
and I remember saying to them, don't just shake your head. give me an answer. Because at this point, I was ready to walk out of the interview. Right. It was bullshit.
Right.
And don't just shake your head at me. And they all just continue to shake their head at me. And it's like,
that's ridiculous.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I'm not worried. I mean, like, if you're worried, people are worried. Like, I get these pangs of fear sometimes too, and I think I mentioned on the show before, when you feel that kind of fear, when you feel that kind of fear about like your job or something else, it means something needs to change, right? It needs to change. You need to change your thinking about it.
I think so.
Or what you're doing about it. Like, you can't just sit there in fear, and it's. But I'm not worried about people that spend their spare time listening to us. They probably care a little bit about electronics. So I'm not necessarily worried about them.
Golden rule, folks: have that screw you money at the ready.
That too, yeah. That's a great that's a great point.
Yep.
What was the other one on here that I wanted to mention?
Well, hurry it up. We're 10 minutes over.
Whatever. No, actually, this is kind of relevant too. So New York Times wrote about this as well.
Everything's relevant. It's the amp hour.
So they wrote about Silicon Valley's youth problem, right? This is the same kind of thing, right? So this might be more akin to your question about makers and everything like that, right? So basically, there's like the old guard and the new guard. The old guard is like these big industrial and large scale corporations basically working on big projects, big important projects, and then but people the young people don't want to go work there, right? They want to go work in the hot new startups. And basically, how do you keep your talent fresh, right? And this probably also feeds into that whole there's no jobs or there are way too many jobs kind of dichotomy, because there's jobs, it's just no one wants to work there, or they're not paying enough, or yada 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 yada. And
I love the cartoon they've got on this page. There's a man with a nicely dressed, and he's carrying his notebook, and he's telling this young kid, "When will you make something that matters?" And the young kid's there with his hoodie and his mobile phone, his sneakers, and he says, "When will you make something cool?" I just think that sums it up.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's true, right? I mean, like, it's when you tell someone, like, I forget who was talking about it, but they talked about how they wanted, I think it was a podcast, maybe it was, it might have been Embedded at FM. They were talking about wanting to go work at NASA, right? And how their friends went off to go work on all these hot startups, and basically he stuck around at NASA, right? And that's that's a perfect example, right? NASA, you want to go work at NASA, you better put in 5 years if you want to make any kind of impact at all. And if you really want to make impact, stay there 25 or 30 years, right? Because the timelines are just insane. It's mind-numbing testing and retesting and all this. That's just how these big important projects work. You have to be sure, and the whole California culture, and we move jobs every 6 months. It's like, okay, yeah, that's great, but you're not gonna, how much impact you're gonna have in that time. That's what it comes down to.
Usually zero. Usually bugger all. Because in most cases, you're going to fail at that startup. That startup's going to fail. Yeah. Or the product never makes it, or it just dies. That's like 90% of the time. Yeah. The percentage is huge. The percentage of startups which actually make a useful product that people, and actually succeed is very small. Yeah.
Well, I'm really interested. I mean, so like obviously this whole hardware startup trend is very interesting. I've watched this a bit. The subreddit and everything like that.
But you only hear about the successes. You don't hear about the failures.
Yeah. Well, you do once in a while. I mean, if you can find, if you want to, just go look at like their announcement list of here's all of our new class at our hardware accelerator, and then who haven't I heard from in a couple months? And, okay, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but there's no announcement that we're closing our doors unless they were already pretty big. But I just think about it's a tough hardware. I'm not going to say it. It's hard to get traction, right? And like to build up and all that other stuff. They're like we've talked to Scott Miller from Dragon, right? Dragon helps a lot of companies build this stuff up, but like Dragon would technically be like an industrial company, right? They have people who've been there and have relationships established. Basically, they're hardware startups that come to them are tapping into that that ecosystem already, right? And that's kind of the only way to really get that accelerating traction kind of thing. Otherwise, if you're starting from scratch, like how many hardware startups know like purchasing, the ins and outs of purchasing, right? I mean, like, okay,
exactly.
You don't want to get screwed on a reel of resistors or a reel of microcontrollers. Okay, now what? Yeah, so it's tough. I don't know why I got into that. Ugh. Why did I start talking about that?
I don't know.
Well, I think it's just going to be interesting because we're going to see more of this. Obviously, it's not going to be a trend that goes away, and it's we're going to see more of this. We're going to talk about it in the Amp Hour more. So get ready, folks.
You think it's a sustainable model, though? All this hardware startup trend, is it going to in 20 years' time? Graduates all going to be lusting after going after the hardware startup, or are they going to go, oh no, it's going to be much safer to go to NASA and at a big company? Or
I don't know. I think so. What I always think about
it's hard to call.
Right. Well, we talked about that. So we mentioned the quote unquote quantified self devices, and just think about how many are out there now, right? It's like, okay. There can be more of those, and so I think about like the devices that are in the market and what else is going to be in the market. It's like, okay, sensor plus Bluetooth chip plus app. Okay,
right.
How many sensors are out there? How many cases are out there? Right? I mean, it's just like, okay,
not everyone. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to move to higher levels of complexity, but then you lose that kind of growth factor and that acceleration that VCs like, and
you
sexiness.
Can't just slap a prototype together, whack it up on a Kickstarter, and Bob's your uncle.
Right.
No, it requires years of research and R&D to, come up with something really innovative and good.
Right. So like once
outside of these little sensor.
Well, I don't want to say they're easy. They're not
projects.
easy. Like there's interesting stuff going on there. Right. But once that market, once people get kind of like, okay, I have devices, they're attached to my phone, I'm getting sick of my pile of stuff. Right, there's Rachel. I forget her last name. She wore around like 20 of those. She literally wore 20 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can learn a lot from that, right? They're all different. They all have their thing, whatever. Okay, but
and it gets down to the point where they're so pointless, you're not going to wear any.
Right. Well, and it's another. It's just like we're moving towards just the phone doing everything, or how many screens do you have, right? And there's all these just ebbs and flows of how many devices people can tolerate. And okay, so we're at that point then. And then what? Well, okay, now your home has the same kind of thing. Okay, well, we have, 10 connected devices in the home. Okay, and then what? And then, the trend just kind of keeps going like that. Maybe it won't run out of steam. I don't really know.
To what end?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, it'll give us things to complain about for years into the future, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. So the
another brain-connected device, guys. This one goes in through your eyeball.
Sitting on the porch, rocking. There's another hardware startup, and it's biomedical, and it's on your telephone.
Yeah. I remember when phones were used for calling people.
That was a good impression of a redneck sitting on his front porch.
We should try and do some chips of the week in the near future. We haven't done that in a while. I haven't.
Okay. Yeah. True.
I don't have any on the list this time. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll think of something for next time.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else this week? I gotta watch your video from this week. Your power supply ripple
noise source one.
Yeah, that looked good.
Fundamentals Friday.
Yep.
That was another one that was supposed to be quick.
Yeah, well,
I thought, it'll be a 10-minute video. Like 47 minutes later or something. Oh shit. I've got to stop doing that.
Yeah. Well, we'll link it in case people haven't seen it, but it's good. Come on, that people love that stuff, even though if they say they don't. That's good stuff. That's
I don't get as much feedback on them.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
People I know people do like them.
Well, that's the difference, right? That's the the mailbag is the little tiny connected device, right? And this is the beefy needs some, needs to dig into it, right? That's the important stuff, right?
Yep.
The important stuff can be boring. And it takes a while.
Well, no, see, here's the thing, right? That I know the reason why the Fundamentals Fridays aren't as popular, right? People love the concept, right? When I first floated the concept. Oh, I got 10 million thumbs up, and people thought this was the greatest thing in the history of the EEV blog, you know. And they're all so excited they're wetting their pants over the thought of a new thing every Friday. Right. And no, the reason it didn't pan out like that is because the video is never what they wanted.
Oh, right. It has math.
Odds are it's only going to appeal to...
Yeah,
they were expecting, I don't know, a tutorial on FPGAs, and it's not. It's bloody power supply noise, and they didn't want that.
Right, but I do FPGAs.
Right, so they get disappointed and they go, well, I'm not
watch it anyways. It's good for you. Eat your vegetables and watch Dave talk about stuff.
I know that people, they watch less, right?
Yeah.
I know they don't even bother clicking play.
Yeah.
But something with broader appeal, like a mailbag or maybe even a teardown or some other thing, it's, you know, or a rant is going to have broader appeal. So you're going to get more people watching it. It's just, you know, it's just a basic fact of
and the key for you is to
how
ignore
the whole
them
thing works.
and to just do cool stuff. That's the important
of course.
thing.
I know. Exactly. So, you know. And, you know, so half of the comments on my noise video will be, can you do a video on FPGAs or on
Bitcoin,
you know, RF signal, you know, something like, whatever.
Don't worry, man. I use them. I link to them from Contextual Electronics. It's great. You're doing half my work for me.
Cool.
Not all the work.
Oh, goodness.
All right, man. Well, not sure who we'll have on next week. Another surprise like usual.
Woohoo!
All right. See you then.
Catch you next time.